On today's History of Politics, we're going to talk about the 22nd Amendment, the 22nd. And this is a very important amendment because we may be facing a constitutional crisis in a couple of years. We'll see. But here's the basics of it, which is also, by the way, covered in Article 2 of the Constitution. But what it says is, it says that a president shall not be elected more than twice. He cannot be elected more than twice. Where in Article 2, it says he can serve two terms. They don't have to be consecutive, but only 2 terms. Now, in the case of, let's say that a president is in office and in his first term, he dies. Well, the 20th Amendment already showed us the way. It showed us that the natural succession is that the vice president becomes president at that point. He gets sworn as president. So now, as president, he can finish out that first term. He can run for a second term. But that's it. No more. He cannot serve a third term. He can finish out his predecessors first. He can run for a second, but he can't do a third. That's the way it goes. Now, the other thing that the amendment states to us is that it wouldn't apply before ratification and it wouldn't apply at the time of ratification. Okay? So if there's a president that's serving his third or fourth term before ratification, it will remain that until the ratification takes place. Then at the time of the ratification, that serving president, if he's on his third or fourth term, will still serve. But that's his last. That's the end of it. It's over after that because now the amendment is ratified and it goes into effect. Boom. That's it. End of story. But here's where the concern is right now because Donald Trump is already selling merch, which is also not legally a presidential action, but he's selling merch saying Trump 2028. He fully intends to run, if not run, but cancel the election totally so he can stay in power. Because of the humiliating defeat that he took in 2020, and with the passage of his big, beautiful betrayal bill that just recently happened, and the cuts to Medicaid and SNAP, and the tariffs that are destroying this country right now economically, where farmers are losing their farms and small businesses are going bankrupt, partially because of the tariffs, partially because of they don't have the immigrant workers. Because for some dumbass reason, ICE is going out there picking up everybody who speaks Spanish or looks Hispanic, which is racial profiling. But hey, that's okay because the Waffen SS and the brown shirts used to do that. If they thought if it looks like a Jew and it talks like a Jew, it's a Jew, right? That's the idea. Listen, don't get sold out to everything Trump is telling you, okay? The Constitution is clear. It says you cannot serve more than 2 terms. Well, he served his first term. This second term, which I'm going to state here and now, is illegal. He's constitutionally disqualified because he's an adjudicated insurrectionist. The argument was whether the 14th Amendment was self-executing. But by its very language, it is. We went over the 14th Amendment. Go through the playlist. You'll find the 14th Amendment. Watch it. You learn something from that. By its very wording, it doesn't have any preset conditions. Boom. Straight in your face. That's what it is. So it's self-executing. If it was a conditional thing, there would be conditions actually written into it. They're not. It's self-executing. Nonetheless, If Donald Trump attempts to override this, a la FDR, even though at the time of FDR, they made exceptions. If Donald Trump tries to override this, there's going to be a constitutional nightmare. We're looking, Donald Trump is doing everything, and with the malfeasance of 5 out of 4 Supreme Court justices, I'll say, they are trying to dismantle the Constitution. This is all Project 2025, by the way. They're trying to dismantle the Constitution. They're trying to create a situation where Republican dominance and control is maintained perpetually and eternally. It will not work. It's been tried before. You're just trying to put new words in the same sentence, meaning the same thing. Einstein said that it is insanity to think you could do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. But that's what the Republicans are doing. Maybe they use different words. Maybe they use words like Third Reich. Maybe they used, words like authoritarianism. Maybe they used words like bourgeois and proletariat. But the end result is the same. Because let me tell you something, average Americans, average people, the labor class, when you keep putting pressure on them and squeezing them and taking from them and not giving anything back, eventually they're going to snap. It's not going to be pretty. Do you not know that this is why the Declaration of Independence was written? Because the colonists came from Britain. And when they were here, King George, the Mad King, King George III, just kept pounding and pounding and pounding and taxing. And they couldn't he didn't contribute to the founding of this country. Yes, he financed the trip here, but he didn't contribute anything to the building of this country. He said, you're on your own, but you're going to pay me tribute, a lot of tribute. Remember a little thing called the Boston Tea Party? Perhaps you've heard of it. That was a rebellion against King George's taxes. He was an autocrat, a monarch, and a dictator. And the founders of this country got squeezed so hard, they said, you know what, enough. We are declaring our independence. And this is what's going to happen with the Republican Party and Donald Trump. Just yesterday, don't you know, that I believe it was in Alabama, was it? A very, very, very Republican seat. One that was won by Trump 2 years ago. Flipped blue yesterday in Alabama. Here in Pennsylvania, there was a special election late last year. And in a deeply red county, a Republican lost to a Democrat. Why? Because people are starting to wake up and they're seeing what the problem is. And if Donald Trump tries to run for a third term, which he's going to try to do, it's going to be over. Anyway, that's the 22nd Amendment. President can have 2 terms. If he takes over, if a vice president takes over for a president, he can finish out that term, run for a second term, and that's it. That's the 22nd Amendment. If you learned something today, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.